The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are simply that, opinions. All are presumed innocent until proven otherwise in a court of law. Sensitive topics are discussed. Discretion is advised.
I could hear his voice cracking in the background and crying. And, the words, they're gone, B, they're gone. I was having a hard time with myself, thinking that he could have done these things. I was just having a hard time rationalizing what was going on. I didn't want to believe it. What he did was wrong, but he also helped, and he was good to me.
The Murdaugh murders through the eyes of their former housekeeper. You'll see my one-on-one interview with Blanca Simpson. And Brian Walshe is pleading guilty to some lesser charges. So was this move about taking responsibility, or was it purely strategic? We'll talk about how it may or may not impact his upcoming trial. Plus, a teenager mysteriously dies aboard a cruise ship, and now there's a shocking twist as her step-sibling might be facing charges. Also this hour, we're going inside the mind of murder defendant Matthew Lance. His parents' police interview revealing more about what was going on at his home. It's all coming up next for you right here on Opening Statements. Good Wednesday morning to you. Welcome to Opening Statements. I'm Julie Grant. Are you ready for some coffee and some court? It's that time of the morning where we get you all warmed up and ready to go for the big day ahead on Court TV Live. So let's start it off as we always do, my friends. Grab that cup of coffee or tea or hot water with lemon, whatever you like. It's time for my opening statement. She may never get out. Children's grief book author and criminal defendant Corey Richens may never, ever get out from behind bars. The judge has once again denied her bond. And if she's convicted of murdering her husband, Eric, then behind bars is where she will continue to stay for the rest of her life. Richens' recent bond request cited as a reason that a drug dealer witness has recanted his story about selling drugs to her housekeeper. The state of Utah believes that Richens got the fentanyl used to kill Eric from her housekeeper, who they say got it from said recanting drug dealer witness. Well, the judge was unpersuaded by that argument, saying that even if the defense claims about the drug dealer recanting his story are true, there's still plenty of other evidence to substantiate the allegations against Ms. Richens. Like, for instance, her being in financial distress at the time of Eric's death. That could have been motive for the killing. Prosecutors allege that she forged Eric's signature on a life insurance policy application right before he died. Prosecutors have also said that there was a failed poisoning attempt on Eric's life the month before he was actually killed. And even Eric himself reportedly told his family that if he died, to look at Corey because he thought she was trying to kill him. So, I say Ms. Richens should not only move on from her bond quest, but I think she should start practicing getting used to life behind bars. When her trial starts up in February, I hope that justice is served for her husband, Eric Richens, and for those 3 little boys who so unfairly lost their dad. That's my opening statement this Wednesday morning. Let me know if you like it. Right now, it's time for your daily docket.
The Higgs were unaware. They were defenseless. They were executed. All while Jacob was asleep upstairs.
In Georgia, the state is expected to call its final witness in the murder trial for defendant Matthew Lands. This guy's accused of brutally killing Justin and Amber Hicks inside of their brand new home. Court's going to resume at 9 a.m. Eastern, and we're going to go in there live together when it does. In Tennessee, we've got the man convicted of kidnapping, raping, and killing Holly Bobo. He is back in court. Zach Adams wants a new trial, and this guy is expected to testify. The hearing is going to get underway at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. We'll go there live when it does. And in Massachusetts, we've got jury selection continuing this morning for the accused wife killer, Brian Walshe. That's our top story for you this morning. There was a shake-up on Tuesday morning. If you were watching, you saw this was right on the heels of the jury selection process beginning, as the accused killer pleaded guilty to 2 of the 3 crimes that he's been accused of.
Tell me in your own words, sir, why are you here?
I'm here to plead guilty.
On those 2 counts?
Yes.
And you understand that your trial's starting today?
Yes.
On the first indictment? All right.
Now, Walshe pleaded guilty to misleading police and the unlawful disposal of his wife's body. Jury selection is still underway for the murder charge because he's not admitting guilt with that. He's still maintaining his plea of not guilty, so he's proceeding to trial. The allegation is that prosecutors say he killed his wife, Anna, back on New Year's Day in 2023, and that he then dismembered her body and scattered her remains. Her remains still have not been recovered. Jury selection is projected to take all week long. Opening statements have been scheduled for December 1st, and Court TV will be there for it all. All right, my friends, now let's talk about his partial plea. Let's talk about, was that about remorse? Was that about accepting responsibility for what he did with his wife? Or was that about just trying to put himself in a better position at trial? Don't know that that's going to work. Let's talk about it. Let's bring in our guests. Criminal defense and civil rights attorney Kesia Early is with us. So is trial attorney Wayne Dennison. Good morning to you both. All right, Kesia, I want to begin with you. Criminal defense work you do. Did this guy give him any advantage?
I don't see how it did, because now that he's taken the plea, this information can come in a different avenue. This was purely trial strategy. I do believe the defense attorney thought that this would put him in a better position, but I don't see how. The evidence is overwhelming. We know that there were text messages, Google searches about, can you be charged with murder if you can't find the body, 10 ways to disfigure a body or dismember a body. Like, you had that, then you had the hundreds of dollars worth of cleaning supplies that he purchased. The blood spatter that was found, the bloodstained knife that was found in the couple's basement, blood and overwhelming evidence. So I do not believe that this places him in a better position. And I do believe that a conviction for murder is forthcoming.
I agree with everything you said, Kesia. Yeah, I was thinking this through and thinking it through. And for anybody at home that's wondering, like Kesia said, all that evidence, it's still coming in. It goes to the homicide and his consciousness of guilt. And so I don't know what the thinking was. Wayne Dennison, would love to get your thoughts on this. You're in Massachusetts, licensed there where this trial is going to be happening soon. What do you think Brian Walshe is thinking here?
Well, I think the strategy here, and I do believe it's strategic, was that we were going to try to get into a position where the jury may, in fact, give him a lesser conviction. There is overwhelming evidence here. I think the hope is that Brian Walshe, who I think is now going to have to testify. Previously, we had a case where, they could go through and say, no body, no crime. Well, they've admitted to a body. They've admitted to 2 crimes. Now they're going to have to come up with an explanation as to how Anna Walshe died. And I think that that's going to compel Brian Walshe to testify, and they're going to hope that he's reasonably sympathetic and he gets a charge less than murder 1.
Yes, Wayne, I love where you're going with that. Okay, let's keep going, because I was thinking about this last night when you said something lesser. In my mind, Kesia, let me go to you on this. I'm thinking, okay, is he going to try to say, oh, we were in a fight, I, pushed her accidentally, she goes down the stairs, hit her head, hits her head, dies, and then I panic. Are they going for voluntary then with a story like that? What do you think, Casey? What do you see with him in the narrative coming from the defense here?
I think I'm on the far end of the spectrum. What I'm thinking is maybe the defense is going to argue that, look, he pled guilty to misleading a police officer and the conveyance of a body because he was guilty. But he's not guilty of the murder. And it's not our job to show that he actually committed the murder. That's the prosecution's job. And if the prosecution cannot prove, even with this evidence, right, that he committed the murder, then he must be innocent of that. I know that seems far off, but I can't make sense of taking the plea from misleading the officers and the other charge and not accepting full responsibility, because it's not a full responsibility case. I think that the defense is going to deflect and say that he's not guilty of actually committing the murder.
Okay, so you think they're going to admit some things, and they have to do that carefully. As you know, it's very hyper-technical. Wayne, let me go to you on this. It's not like they can come in and, you know, wave a certified copy of the plea agreement and say, jury, he pleaded. Can't do that. That can't be known. How do you suspect the defense might try to get this in, Wayne?
Oh, I think the defense here is literally going to be something along the line of, you cannot prove that he murdered her. The problem with this is you now have an admission that she was unlawfully disposed of. You have the body, and he's going to have to explain how she died. And I think that this trial is going to be an explanation of how she died. Either he's going to say that he had nothing to do with it and he has no idea how, or we're going to hear a creative discussion of some set of circumstances that make him less culpable than murder one.
Yes, Wayne. He is smart, as we all know. I found out yesterday he graduated from Carnegie Mellon. You have to be really smart to get in that school. So this guy's no dumbbell. I wonder what he's going to say if he gets up there. And Wayne, I think you're right. I think he's kind of putting himself in a position where he may want to roll the dice and try to talk his way out of this. Casey, we know that this guy's a convicted fraudster. We know that he was fraudulently selling artwork, claiming they were Andy Warhol paintings. They were not. And all this happened, the federal case happened right before Anna's disappearance in 2023. And so there's some argument perhaps to be made by the prosecution that there could have been a motivation because of life insurance policy. We may see them get into that. Tell me, as a defense attorney, if he wants to get up there, what would you advise him with respect to those convictions that are going to come on in?
Well, typically we advise our clients, we find out how many certified convictions they have even before they testify. And if they answer that question properly, then the prosecution can't go into the details of it. Were you a convicted felon? How many felonies do you have? It's that simple. But in this case, he was on house arrest at the time of the murder. So it's not like he can say he had an alibi because there was no notice of alibi filed. I mean, the evidence is there and it suggests that he was present, he committed the crime, and it's overwhelming, right? So I don't know how he's going to wiggle out of this, even if he testifies, because he can't say, you know, I was somewhere else. House arrest proved that he was there. So this is going to be interesting, to say the least.
Yes, Casey. Okay, Wayne, before we have to let you both go, one last question for you, please. Do you think it's possible this guy is doing this for the court of public opinion? Do you think that could be the motivation here?
I don't know. I cannot see that he is going to sway the court of public opinion very far. This is a public who's heard a lot about this crime. Coincidentally, it's the same courthouse as the very much publicized Karen Reed trial, and the public opinion, I think, is pretty well set on this. It sounds like a horrific crime. He's now pled to the unlawful disposal of his wife, which is a horrific crime. I don't see the public opinion swaying in his favor.
Gotcha. We will leave it there for now. Great discussion with you both. Wayne Dennison, Casey Early, thank you both so much. Still ahead on opening statements, you'll see my interview with Alec Murdaugh's former housekeeper. Blanca, we saw you testify at his trial. How tough was that for you? It
was hard. right there across from me was a man that I thought I knew.
Plus, brand new developments in the cruise ship death of 18-year-old Anna Kepner. Her step-sibling being eyed up as a suspect now. So how much does this family know? That's next.
The Court TV podcast will return.
The mysterious death of a high school cheerleader on a cruise ship is what's trending in true crime this morning, as her step-sibling may be facing charges. 18-year-old Anna Kepner was reported dead while aboard a Carnival Horizon cruise ship earlier this month. But according to an unrelated court filing, one of her step-siblings could be charged soon. Chantel Hudson, Kepner's stepmother, requested a delay in her custody hearing with her previous husband because of a, quote, extremely sensitive and severe circumstance. The filing goes on to say that Hudson, quote, has been advised through discussions with the FBI investigators and her attorneys that a criminal case may be initiated against one of the minor children of this instant action, end quote. So we know that the 18-year-old's travel party included her father, her stepmother, and her step-siblings. But details surrounding Anna's death still haven't been released. The FBI continues leading the investigation, but does Kepner's family know what really happened? Let's ask our investigators about that. Let's bring in private investigator with Black Ops, private investigators Manuel Gomez, and retired NYPD detective and the host of the Rob O'Donnell Show, Rob O'Donnell. Good morning to you both. Does the family have the answers? Rob, would you start off our conversation, please?
Well, based on the stepmother's filing in this unrelated custody case, it appears so. It appears that they know more than they're letting on. It appears that the father, the biological father of this 18-year-old, seems to be pleading for more information. But obviously in this court filing, it appears that that fingers have been pointed and questions have been asked about at least one of the step-siblings here in this case. So I would say they do know, because why not just ask for a postponement because her stepdaughter was just found dead on a cruise ship? Why this extra information in this unrelated court proceeding?
Ooh, that's a good point, Rob. Thank you. Manuel, your thoughts on the family and what they may know, please.
I think that there's a lot of secrets that are unfortunately of sensitive nature in this case regarding the family and what's going on with the siblings, and they're being very covert about releasing that information. But the one thing that really disturbs me about this case is the fact that they didn't look into the evidence even further down when this girl was on the ship. There's a lot of evidence out there that's still out there.
Right, Manuel. I have a statement from the Carnival Cruise Line on Anna Kepner's death. Death of the statement says, Carnival Cruise Line is fully cooperating with the Miami office of the FBI. It is up to the FBI's Miami Public Affairs Office to provide further details. Our focus is on supporting the family of our guest, end quote. So let's talk a little bit now about how Anna's body was found. So the Daily Mail and CBS News are both reporting that the 18-year-old was stuffed underneath a bed in the cabin where she was staying with her family. The Daily Mail reporting that Anna was found dead, wrapped up in a blanket. Anonymous sources telling the Daily Mail that Kepner was covered up by life jackets. Kepner's father, Christopher, made this statement soon after his teenage daughter was found dead, saying, quote, everybody was questioned. Everybody came off that ship. I don't know who they are looking at or what their investigation is. The FBI hasn't shared anything with me yet. I would imagine they're going to be in contact with me about it, but I know as little as everybody else. I have no idea what is going on right now. We're just trying to sit still and wait for answers. So it makes us wonder here at Court TV, does it sound like there was foul play here with Anna Kepner's death? Manuel Gomez, would you start us off, please, with your thoughts?
Well, I have to tell you, Julianne, the last court interview that I did on Court TV regarding this case, I received numerous phone calls, and I actually got a very big tip on this case. One of the cruise passengers was telling me that Anna was at the theater, and she was with this young guy, which fits the description of the stepbrother, okay? And they were arguing intensely. okay? And then the fact that her body was jammed under the bed, hidden, it tells me that the person that did this, one, was young. This wasn't like a regular murder. I think this was a crime of passion. And I think what happened was, and I hate to say this, but it seems like possibly that the brother had physical intentions towards the sister, and it didn't plan out. She said no, and he most likely wind up doing this. That's my suspicion in this case, due to the evidence and phone calls that I received from passengers on the cruise ship after doing the Court TV episode.
Wow, that's really something, Manuel. Thank you for sharing that. Of course, if we at Court TV are able to confirm any of that independently, we certainly will. But, you know, that's a theory, a theory, certainly. Rob, I want to ask you the same question. Does this sound like foul play to you, even though we don't know Anna's cause of death just yet? It hasn't been released.
Well, there's absolutely foul play in the disposal, or well, at least the hiding of the body. Just the way the body was found, there's obviously someone else involved here that was there either during or after the death. When I talked about this case on my show yesterday, I says, unfortunately, although the family's going through their own trauma here, they need to be ruled out, and they're going to be looked at first to be ruled out. And it appears the FBI is in that direction. Two of the theories that I came with, based on her age and out on a cruise ship, was there some sort of, and I'm looking to see the full autopsy here with the toxicology and stuff like that. Was she out hanging out with someone and maybe overdosed on drugs, and that person panicked and just hit the body and took off and wanted to distance themselves from it? Or in this case, a step sibling. You have to realize in a case like this, we know now that there's an ongoing custody battle with the biological father. There is a divorce play here. There's step-parents, step-siblings. The hierarchy of this family is being disrupted. If you look at the picture, even though they're juveniles and their faces are blurred out, you could tell they're mid to upper teens, these two boys that are in the picture. Was there a challenge to his status in the family? Did he feel threatened by this new step-family that he's now part of and have this confrontation? I believe we're going to find out. These are not hardened criminals here, and I think based on the statements that the stepmother's already had, more of this is going to come to fruition. And I wouldn't be surprised if any defense attorney says, based on the trauma that this child's going through, based on a divorce and this new step family, something happened there mentally that he had a breakdown. And I guess we'll see as we move forward here.
Yeah, all good points, Rob. Thanks. Manuel, if you could interview anybody in this family, who would be the first person you would want to talk to?
The first person would be the oldest stepson. Again, like I said, he was the one that I've been giving indications about having problems with the sister on the boat. He'd be the first one I lean on. The second one would be the younger one. And again, those hallway camera footage, I would definitely zoom in on that. I know they can't tell you about when she opened the door or not, but then the third thing I would look into is, what was the condition of her body? Yes, granted, Julie, she was wrapped up in a blanket, jammed up underneath the bed. That's like my colleague said, it's foul play. I said it from the beginning, this is a homicide, okay? And then it's shoved under with a life vest. But the bottom line is, was she clothed or unclothed? And I have a funny feeling that that girl was unclothed. I have a funny feeling that that brother did something.
And Manuel, I appreciate the theory. Look, you and Rob, you guys have seen everything. And both of you served with the NYPD, too. There's another, a thing you both have in common. Again, a theory. We have not independently confirmed anything relating to the stepbrother, but it's certainly a possibility. And we'll keep following this case and report any information, especially cause of death, as soon as that is learned and any more information the FBI is willing to release. I love following you both on social media. Friends at home, be sure to follow Manuel Gomez and Rob O'Donnell. Stay with us. You don't want to miss what I have coming up for you next.
I was having a hard time with myself, thinking that he could have done these things. I was just having a hard time rationalizing what was going on. I didn't want to believe it.
Alec Murdaugh's former housekeeper Blanca speaking out about the murders this morning. My interview with her is coming up next. Plus, insight into the mind of accused killer Matthew Lance from his parents' police interview. A criminology expert joins us to talk about whether what allegedly happened was evil or mental illness.
Now, back to the Court TV podcast.
We're learning more about the Alec Murdaugh case from one of the people who lived it, his housekeeper. The once wealthy and powerful attorney was convicted of murdering his wife, Maggie, and their son, Paul. But still, so many questions remain about the inner workings of the Murdaugh family. Like, what really went on behind closed doors? The family's housekeeper of 14 years, Blanca Simpson, was there and has just published a book, Within the House of Murdaugh, amid a unique friendship, Blanca and Maggie. And we're so pleased to welcome Blanca Simpson on Opening Statements. Blanca, thank you for doing this interview with me. So what was it like working for the Murdaughs?
It was fun. It was, they were the no worries attitude. Just like a regular family.
Did they treat you well?
Very well. They were very well. They treated me very well, and they were very nice.
So were there no red flags, so to speak, that would have been perceptible by anybody leading up to that dreadful day?
There's been so many things being said all over about her and her issues with overdrafting her account, whether she knew about the money. They had a system in place where Alec deposited money in her account. Maggie never really, it was not a big issue if she ran low on money in her account. She would always joke around sometimes saying, hey, I'm always bouncing checks.
Blanca, let's talk about the day that Maggie and Paul were murdered. How did you find out?
I found out the next morning when Alex called me to tell me.
What did he say?
I was getting ready to leave. I had just I was ironing my husband's clothes for work, and once I got done, I went in the bathroom and my phone rang, and I thought it was kind of odd that Alec was calling me early that morning, but I didn't pay it no attention. I figured, well, maybe Maggie's using his phone since hers was always on zero charge because she used it a lot. And so I picked it up, and I could hear his voice cracking in the background and crying. And, the words, they're gone, B, they're gone. And it never dawned on me, what he was saying. I just assumed that she had left early, that they had left early and gone to Edisto. I didn't know. I didn't know what he was trying to say. It didn't even cross my mind that that's what he was trying to tell me. Mm-hmm. Until he said it, after I told him, I said, did they go back to Edisto? He said, no, B, they're dead. And there was like a blank moment. I don't remember. Like I said, I dropped the phone, and my husband picked it up, and he was trying to ask me, what's going on. And I remember picking up the conversation where I said, where are you at? He said, I'm at Mom and Dad's house, Almeda. I said, okay. I said, I'll be right over. And I hung up the phone, and I finished getting dressed. I told my husband what was going on. Got in my truck and drove to Almeda, where him and Buster were at.
Blanca, when did you start to suspect that he did this?
It was... I didn't really want to believe it. That I was still in denial. This is not the way that he was being portrayed and all the things that were being said about him. I was having a hard time with. I was having a hard time with myself, thinking that he could have done these things. I was just having a hard time rationalizing what was going on. I didn't want to believe it. Up until the moment I saw the towel in his truck. And
What
I
towel?
remember
Tell us what
there
towel,
was
please, Blanca.
the Edisto beach towel that was in his Suburban was one of the 4 towels that I had laundered to go back to Edisto. And I remember bits and pieces from some of the trial, and I remember hearing Creighton Waters saying that you were a busy man or something like that during, you didn't take any steps, and all of a sudden you became real busy during a short period of time. And I began to think, I said, because I had found the pajamas laying in the middle of the doorway, and nobody really paid it any mind when I did bring it to their attention. And then looking at the towel in there, I knew that he was the one that was going in and out of the laundry room. So that's when I changed my mind. That's when I knew. When I saw that towel, I knew, because I never saw that towel again. And I asked about the towel. Nobody could tell me.
Did you ever ask
anything
Alex directly?
No. At that point, I hadn't spoken. This was after the trial. I think the last time I spoke to Alec was via text, and that was probably when he was on his way to rehab. I hadn't spoken to him.
Blanca, we saw you testify at his trial. How tough was that for you?
It was hard. Right there across from me was a man that I thought I knew, and who was good to me, who was good to my family, who had helped me. And it was, I had some conflict with that, because to this day, I mean, what he did was wrong, but he also helped, and he was good to me, and he would be quick to defend me if anybody said anything. He was always there for me. So it was really hard, but I knew that I had to answer the questions that I was going to be asked, and be as truthful as I possibly could.
Right.
Blanca,
I'm sorry, go ahead, please.
It was hard to accept. And it was hard to see him on the other side, of that table.
Right. Sure.
From the powerful attorney and the respected attorney that he was, to that, sitting there. It was hard. I mean, it was emotional. My insides felt like Jell-O, even though on the outside it was, I was trying to be as calm as possible, but my insides were just, it's hard to explain. It's like this several emotions going through you, and your stomach is just in a knot. And I was nervous. I was just trying to be as calm as I possibly could, but I was still nervous.
Sure.
And they're a powerful family.
Yeah, understandably so that you were nervous. Blanca, last question for you, please. It's our understanding that you are caring for Maggie's dog. Is that right?
Yes. He's right here at my feet on the other side of the desk.
You can pick him up if you want. I don't know how big he is, but he's welcome to join you in the shot if you want to.
He's huge. He's 104, but I'm gonna.
You'll leave him sitting there then.
We can turn it around a little bit so you can see it.
Sure.
See him laying right there.
What's his name, Blanca?
His nickname is Bubba.
Bubba. Oh, this is Bubba. Oh, Look at sweet Bubba. Oh, my goodness. Oh, well, I know he's in the very best hands with you, Blanca. Blanca Simpson, thank you so much for the conversation, for the love you're giving that dog. He certainly needs it. And every good wish with the publication of your memoir. There it is on the screen. And I believe that's Bubba pictured with you within the house of Murdoch amid a unique friendship, Blanca and Maggie. Oh, and I know you remember from the trial, Alec Murdoch was saying Bubba's name on that Snapchat video found in Paul's phone, and that ultimately helped lead to the convictions. Coming up next for you here on Opening Statements.
You heard about what happened to your neighbor's house. Was there any suspicion that Matthew may have been involved?
No, I would never. I mean, we've never even met the new people. Never even met them. And Matthew knew that the other people moved out long ago.
We're going inside the mind of murder defendant Matthew Lance. Was it a mental break or pure evil? What he's alleged to have done.
This is the Court TV Podcast.
Welcome back to Opening Statements. This morning, we're taking a look at Matthew Lance's state of mind when he allegedly murdered his neighbors and then proceeded to try to commit more crimes. Matthew Lance is accused of killing Justin and Amber Hicks in their Cobb County, Georgia home back in 2021 and leaving their 2-year-old son to fend for himself. Lance was arrested 2 days later after he allegedly broke into a home in nearby Fulton County and allegedly stabbed a police officer. Let's listen to his parents describe Matthew's decline after he left for college.
I know you said you've seen a psychiatrist. Has he actually been diagnosed with it?
I mean, I told the psychiatrist that, I thought that he was either bipolar or schizophrenic, of the episodes that we've seen over the last few years. So I think that was the beginning of the end. Of course, he got in there and started drinking and smoking, and Lord only knows what else those guys do. And I think he started smoking pot. He had never smoked pot before. So we started seeing, his grades started plummeting after the first semester. And behavior, yes.
Was he struggling in school recently? Yes.
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 Yes. He's been struggling ever since.
Yeah.
This trial was delayed multiple times after Lance was ruled incompetent to stand trial. Then he was determined to be competent after an evaluation from a forensic psychiatrist. He was also diagnosed with schizophrenia. Okay, so add that to the fact that his brother also shot and killed a Pentagon police officer in 2021 and used the officer's gun to kill himself. And you have a whole string of deadly coincidences with this family. Let's talk about it. Let's bring in criminology expert, author, and professor at St. Thomas University, Dr. Debbie Goodman. Dr. Debbie, all right, yesterday we got into this big debate in our newsroom. Whether his alleged conduct is pure evil or something else. Your thoughts, please, on what this man is alleged to have done.
Thank you, Julie. Good morning. Great question to begin with. I'm going with pure evil. Here's why, because I really appreciate the state of Georgia classifying this particular case and crime, the double homicide, as malice murder. And why is that important? Because so many of the cases we talk about on your show, Julie, we know at the heart of it all is murder, the unlawful killing of another. But then we have these subdivisions, right? We have serial murder and mass murder and workplace and family. But when it comes to malice murder, it speaks directly to the individual, the defendant's mindset, and what we really interpret it to mean, or certainly what I do as a criminal criminologist, is it's a depraved mind that has complete and utter disregard for human life. So although schizophrenia may be a component of this case, I do not see it in terms of eclipsing the fact pattern of this horrendous and horrible double homicide. So I'm going with the side of the coin that addresses evil.
Dr. Debbie, I want to expound upon this with you, please. So we know after the shootings of these innocent people in their home, this beautiful young couple, the firefighter, his wife, the 2-year-olds left unharmed. What does that say? Because here they're both shot 3 times. You know, incredibly depraved conduct, right? If this guy alleged, you know, if he did what he's alleged to have done, but stopped short of harming the 2-year-old, thank God. What does that say to you as a criminologist, Dr. Debbie?
Yes, very important, Julie, and thank you. And I was going to mention that too. The fact that he leaves the child unharmed, you see, I believe that speaks to his knowledge of wrongdoing. He knew what he did. He knew what he did was wrong. But isn't it curious to all of us about human behavior that even among the worst of the worst, Julie, sometimes we see these defendants so terrible in their conduct, yet they have just a shred or a thread of a heartfelt sentiment potentially toward children and potentially toward animals, when we also see animals who are not harmed, the pets of the home, even though the people are. So one other mention, please, Julie, about schizophrenia that the courties may find interesting. You know, 2 names come to mind that the courties will recognize and remember, one of whom is David Berkowitz, the son of Sam. Recall, he too had schizophrenia. However, the 6 people he killed, what was his sentence? He got sentenced 25 years to life for each of the 6. And the second person, John Wayne Gacy. Gacy also declared as being schizophrenic. He killed 33 people. What was his sentence? The death penalty. He has since been executed.
Yes, Dr. Debbie, yeah, I know you know this, but I just have to say it again. What an outstanding professor you are, because the way you're explaining this is so helpful, because I've gotten a lot of questions about, well, wait, if he suffers from schizophrenia, how isn't there a not guilty by reason of insanity defense? And that's essentially what you're telling us. You can have the diagnosis, but if you're not suffering from it at the time and you still knew right from wrong at the time, then you can still be convicted of murder, just like these 2 infamous defendants were that you named. Incompetency, we know, is here and now. Can you assist your lawyer in the charges against you? Dr. Debbie, quickly, I want to show you a clip from defense counsel's opening statement. Listen to what the defendant believes happened to him with the case.
Matthew believes that he is going to set up either FBI, CIA, or some government agency. I think you'll hear some information about that through his statements. Or have the ability to listen to those and evaluate those.
So the defendant believes he's being set up by somebody in our government, big conspiracy against him. Dr. Debbie, you think we're going to see this guy want to get up there and tell the jury that?
Again, Julie, it's very weak. It does align with insanity. But remember, the data analytics, again, I think would be so important here. Percentages and percentiles on insanity in our criminal process, less than 2%. I think he's going to prison.
Yeah, I'm with you, Dr. Debbie. And I misspoke here. This is a judge trial. It's a non-jury trial, so the judge would be his audience. Dr. Debbie Goodman, you're the best. Thank you, friends, for watching Opening Statements. That's all for this episode of Opening Statements, my friends. I'm your host, Julie Grant, and it's been great being with you. On this show, I am calling out any pants-on-fire moments in our big trials and true crime stories, and I want you to come along with me. Opening Statements is live every weekday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern on Court TV. Thank you for downloading this episode. Please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your friends. You can watch past shows anytime you like on CourtTV.com.